So this video is going to be a little different from my other ones. This one is going to be a bit, this one's going to be interesting because this one is going to be not so much a video on a topic or anything. It's going to be a topic on a person, and it's a person I know well personally. That person, I've said person 5 times. I need to move on. That person is the Mount Vernon Kid, or as I know him, Chris. Now, today is Chris's birthday, and it's an important one because it is now his 40th birthday. Yep, Chris, welcome to 4-0. I'd say I'd welcome to it, but I'm not a part of it yet. I got a couple more years until I'm over the hill. Anyway, so I've given I wanted to do something special for him because this dude means a lot to me in a lot of terms, and I thought this video would be kind of a nice basically like a nice nod to him and everything he has been for me and what he's been kind of done behind the scenes for the channel and, you know, me in my personal life too. So I thought the least I could do is talk about a video for him, you know, talk about, you know, the Omni Geek High Lord. That's what he calls himself, people, not me. If you want to complain about that name, you go to his channel and talk about, really? Even he knows I'm joking, because I've given him shit about, even I've kind of like joshed on the name for him. But it's all good. It's all in good fun. Yeah. So I guess let's talk about Chris for a moment. Like, let's talk about good old Chris for a hot minute. Now, Chris, I didn't know in my... Now, for those who don't know, and probably some of you don't, a lot of you don't, I've been doing YouTube for a very long time. I have done YouTube since, like, 2007. Yeah, literally, I've been doing this channel since 2007. Like, the early year... Like, when YouTube was transitioning from... Hey, isn't this a cool place to... Oh, it's corporate greed. I've been there, people. I've seen some shit. Now, I had, at the early days of my YouTube career, I didn't really have an idea. In fact, if anyone had been around at that time, I had even started my career not so much doing videos, talking about certain topics or whatever. My career started out doing music videos and posting them on YouTube. I took them all down because, you know, copyright. But yeah... So, and the first one I did was a video called Blackest Rain, and which was this dumb little video talking about this like crossover idea between the two big events at the time, Dark Reign and Blackest Night. And it was kind of like that, and I had already become like YouTube friends with my friend Ziploc Gory, Victor. Shout out to him because this is also tomorrow is his birthday, so I might as well talk about him for a moment because yeah, they're both back to back. So Victor was a cool guy. I don't think he does YouTube videos anymore. He has kind of a personal life, and he's also kind of like he's kind of like disillusioned with the whole YouTube thing, which I don't blame him for. So Victor and I had become friends. And we had both been following this one new guy who had been on the block for a little while longer. He had been on the channel a bit longer than either of us, but he had been kind of like in that same wheelhouse as us. So we both eventually got to talking with this guy, and that was Mount Vernon Kid. Now, when Chris started as Mount Vernon Kid, he was doing like all these fun opinion spots and all. He still does to this day, and he basically did a lot of he had done like a lot of like opinion spots, fight videos, and it was like several months, I believe, until we finally got to like finally talk to each other on, you know, online, and it was really cool. Like at the time, I had never really gotten to talk about like talk to online people outside of Vic, and when I talked to Chris, it was like, dude, it was literally like we were like old friends. Like I remember distinctly that, you know, the two of us when we met, it was literally like we had known each other for like decades. Like we had known each other that long, and yeah, the friendship kind of grew, and we had for a hot minute, Victor, Chris, and I all had like a trinity. We were like known as the Trinity for a hot minute. Like we were known as a trinity of the three brothers who would come together on like YouTube topics and talk about it. It was a lot of fun, honestly. But life being the way it is, that kind of ended. But I will say that it was always fun to have all three of them together. Now, Chris, despite his being the eldest of the three of us, he was more of the child at heart. Like he was very much like the child at heart. Like he may be the eldest, but he is still like a child. He also looks like a child. For those who don't know, he's very short, and I made it a point when I first got to meet him. Yeah, that's the other thing. I didn't get to meet him in person until he came down to Orlando in 2019 for MegaCon. And that was so much fun to hang out with him. It was just me, him, and another friend, Craig. Three of us got to beat around the bush. It was fun. That was a bad choice of words. I apologize. But it was a lot of fun. We got to hang out, talk in person, geek out about stuff. And Chris really loved hanging around in Florida. And it was kind of fun to have... Because here's the thing about conventions, people. They're not fun when you go alone. They're really not in any way, shape, or form really all that fun to go alone. And it's fucking annoying. But I will say... that it was so much fun hanging out with him, and Chris is literally the same guy you see on YouTube and you see here. And that was always great. Now, the other thing, getting to more personal, is that Chris, if you guys know this channel, he's the one who's been sending a lot of comics to the channel. He also sent comics for me to review for Comic Universe, that project I was working on, until it crashed and burned. So, in that regard, it was a lot of fun. It's still a lot of fun. He sends me all these comics, and it's a help in one case because A, I usually can't afford this because your boy gotta pinch some pennies, and two, it helps grow the channel because I get to talk about these comics and these other comics that people want me to review, but I never get the chance to because I don't have the money for it half the time. So Chris is nice enough to send me these comics, and I'm he is sending me a very large haul, which I do want to do as like a big box opening because those make views, right? But Chris is definitely always been like my bro. He's also the one who kind of kick-started the whole idea for doing the Patreon. That was all him. Like that, when I talked to him, I was like in a very depressed state. I was not mentally healthy, and just hated my life for a good while. So I talked to Chris about it, and I was like, "Hey man, I feel like I'm just kind of going in spirals, and I feel like I just want to end YouTube. I just want to end my YouTube career." And he was like, and he gave me a lot of good advice, which I won't talk about here, but long story short, he was the one who did give me the idea to be like, yeah, you should do Patreon. And funny enough, I'm the one, seeing how well my Patreon was doing, he's the one who went off to do his own Patreon. Go to that Patreon if you haven't already. And also check out my Patreon, shameless plug. Shameless plug is shameless. Shameless. Shameless, fuck! But all in all, we have we've had high points together, we have low points together, and I can't really say this other than he's my brother. He is absolutely 100% my brother. Brother from another mother, but still my brother. Who, I consider him family to me. I consider him, is one of my best friends, if not the best friend. I think he is just awesome, and the fact that he wasn't even I asked him a couple days ago. I asked him what's the mindset of being going to 40? What, you're a few days away from going to Club 40, and he said, I don't think about it. I'm still I'm still me. And that's Chris in a whole, right? That's always been Chris on a whole. Is no matter what, he's I'm still me. And I thought that was amazing. And I always thought that was amazing. Yeah. So, Chris, I hope you're I know you're watching this, or I hope, or at the very least, I hope you're watching this. So, Chris, bottom of my heart, thank you for everything. Thank you for the comics. Thank you for, the advice you've given me over the years. Thanks for sticking, through shit. And above all, thank you for being my brother. That's all I can really say is, thank you for being my brother. So, yeah. Alright, guys. So, there you go. There's my, birthday present to my bro. And, I'm Mr. Multiverse. I'll see you next time in the multiverse.